Hey, what is going on, guys? I'll be taking a look at this Sharkk gaming mouse. I don't really have another name for it. I think there are a certain amount of buttons on it, in which case I would refer to it as the number of buttons that are on it, but there's nothing on the front of the box other than it says Sharkk and it's a picture of a mouse, so I'm going to say Sharkk gaming mouse because that is what it looks like on the front of the box. We don't have anything other than that. However, on the side here, it will go ahead and tell you some of the information about the features that you get on this mouse. It is specially designed to meet all needs and standards of even the most ardent online gamers. This professional gaming mouse has all the bells, whistles, featuring Avago 9800 high precision sensors, adjustable DPI settings, and 18 infinitely customizable function buttons. That is pretty much all we need to know. So it has a 9800 DPI and has 18 buttons. I might have forgotten that already. Let's see, it has 18 buttons and it is 9800 DPI. So yeah, that is the main specs of it, 18 buttons and 9800 DPI. So this is the Sharkk 18 button gaming mouse, and that is of course the box that it comes in. You can see a picture of the box on the front as well as a Sharkk logo. On the back of the box there is nothing interesting, so we'll go ahead and get into the box. There is first and foremost a little viewing window that shows you the buttons here, so you can kind of get an idea of what the mouse looks like. I mean, you can either look at the mouse or you can look at these little pictures here that kind of show you some of the features. There are 33 different LED color options. It has an ergonomic design. There's a rib scroll wheel and includes 8 weight tuning cartridges. There are 18 programmable buttons. It has a 4-level DPI indicator. There's a customizable fire button, and there's anti-tangle wiring. I'll just sort of go ahead and unbox it here for you guys and then actually use it for a while and go ahead and review it. So anyway, this is just what we get in the box. We'll go ahead and open it up here. Maybe. Alright. So we can just open it up and then we will get a little drawer that we can just pull out here. So this is everything that we get in the box. We get some papers here. This is I assume, yeah, thank you for purchasing and review it and all of that kind of stuff. We have a user manual for the actual mouse. Then we have a little thing that says Join Pilot Plus, where you review things and you get free stuff from Sharkk, which is what I'm doing for this review here. So we get that, and then we also get our driver software on a little mini disc. So this will not work with laptops unless you have an actual laptop tray. However, I do believe in the past Sharkk has had online downloads for the software, but I'll let you know later on in the review because I haven't actually checked for that yet. So there's that, and then we have the little user manual, of course, and then we have the actual mouse itself. So we'll go ahead and open this piece up here. Should be able to, yeah, I'm just gonna pull this piece off. So here we have a little cartridge for storing our weights, which are currently in the mouse. So you can just see there are, I believe, 8. Yeah, there's 8 little weight spaces here, so that if you are not using the weights in the mouse, you can of course use them in this little container here, and it's plastic and it says Sharkk on it, which is pretty cool. Next we have the actual mouse itself, so we can just pull the wire through here. Shouldn't be too complicated. Alright, there we go. So there's that, and then we are done with this plastic. All that is left here is the actual mouse itself. You may be able to see that it is decently ergonomic, however these areas here aren't very deep, so I mean there is room for your ring finger and your pinky finger, but they're really not very deep, and the pinky finger kind of feels like it's slipping off a little bit. However, it is better than just a regular oval mouse or something like that. And you can see on the side there's a very good spot for our thumb as well as all of our buttons here, and then there's a good spot for our pointer finger and middle finger, of course, because that is what you need to click the mouse. The best area is probably for our thumb, because you can see there's a little thumb rest down here, so rather than your thumb dragging on the table and dragging around while you're moving the mouse, there's actually a little rest here, so your thumb is on board the mouse when you're using it, which is pretty cool to see here. And you can see that here we have 12 buttons, so 12 of our 18 buttons are located on the side here. When I actually plug it in, they will go ahead and light up. These buttons are really small and they are not very clicky at all, so you will probably have some trouble accidentally pushing the wrong button or something unless you get really used to this mouse. Like these buttons up here are clicky and feel very good, however these buttons are just kind of, you just kind of mash them and hope it works. And you can differentiate between them a little bit because of the angles at which they're at, so you can see, alright, these are the first 6 and these are the lower 6, however they really all feel pretty much the same. We have little knobs on our 5 and 8 buttons, but it really will be difficult to differentiate between these 12 buttons, especially in game. In the heat of the moment, you will kind of hope you press the right button, but you can kind of push most of them at once, and just you'll have to kind of put your thumb at an awkward angle in order to push each one of these buttons individually, and even then you might press the wrong one unless you're really used to this mouse, because there really isn't any good feedback given for these buttons down here. unlike the rest of the buttons on the mouse. The overall finish of the mouse is matte, so it won't have any problems with fingerprints or anything like that, because it is just a matte black, so it will feel very nice and you won't have any problems with fingerprints or gunk really getting on there for the most part. However, you might have some problems if you're like eating and touching the mouse just with any other mouse that you would use. On the bottom of the mouse we have our sensor here. There is a button to switch the settings, which is really nice. I will talk about that in a minute. And then on here we have our actual thing that we can twist. So I believe, yeah, you twist it this way to open, and you can kind of hit the mouse like this, and then you will see we have our 8 weights, which you can of course take some of them out and put them in a little cartridge and then adjust the weight of this mouse. So why this little settings button is really nice is because rather than accidentally pushing a button and switching between profiles or something on the actual mouse, you can utilize all of these buttons except these ones because these are the DPI buttons, but you can utilize the majority of the buttons and then you just push this button to switch the settings, which is really nice. Rather than it being these buttons which you accidentally push and switch between profiles and totally messes you up, you can just use this button on the bottom which you won't accidentally push because you're really not switching profiles very often. And so it is nice to see a button on the bottom rather than a main button on the top. You can see our 18 buttons here. Here we have our 12 buttons. We have 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then our 18 is the clickable scroll wheel. So this button on the bottom is not included in the 18, which is good because you can't use it for anything other than switching the buttons. So saying it was 18 buttons and including this one would be kind of lying to the consumer. And so it is good that that is not the case. It looks like our only LEDs are down here, but I'll actually plug it in and show you guys that, of course. However, if there are more LEDs, that'd be cool, but if these are the only ones, that's kind of lame. But anyway, of course, you will have to generally enjoy the color blue to use this mouse because mostly it is blue. I mean, you can customize the color of these LEDs down here, but this part is all blue and the cable is blue and all of that. So it is a mostly blue mouse, and I don't think they sell them in any other color. However, they sell other mouses, just not this MMO Pro gaming mouse from Sharkk. So anyway, you can see the cable here. It is gold-plated USB, so you will have very good speeds and everything with the mouse, and it will pick up your movements and everything very well. And then we have a pretty cool USB rather than just being a normal USB. Sharkk uses these kinds, which look pretty cool. And then we have a braided black and blue cable, which also looks very nice. And we have a little Velcro strap here, so if you aren't wanting to use your entire mouse's length, you do not have to, which is pretty cool. Or if you're traveling with a mouse or something, of course you can Velcro the cable up. So in order to actually use the mouse, I recommend undoing this Velcro here, and then we will have the cable exposed. I'll go ahead and plug this into the computer over here. Just from unvelcroing that, you can see all this dust and gunk that was left here, so we'll go ahead and wipe that off, but that's kind of weird that that all came from the cable. But anyway, you can just see the mouse, so we'll go ahead and plug it in here. So I currently have this mouse plugged into a MacBook Pro, and it took quite a while to actually turn on and recognize the mouse. However, once it did, it popped up saying, set up your keyboard, so it does not recognize this as a mouse. However, you can actually use it as a mouse still. And so far, the DPI adjustment works. So you can adjust the DPI, however, you can't adjust the profiles or anything. And you can see that on Mac, the little lights that say the DPI are there. Actually, I think they're on. They're just really dim, so you can kind of see them, but they're really not very bright, and you can just adjust the DPI even on Mac. So you don't need to use the included software in order to adjust the DPI or anything, so you can do it on Mac just on the mouse. As for profile switching, we'll see if this works. You can just push the little button, and you can see that even on Mac you can indeed switch between profiles. So there are red, yellow, green, blue, and pink, which is pretty cool that you can even switch profiles without even having to use the Sharkk gaming mouse's software. So if you want to customize all the buttons and everything, you will of course have to use the software. However, the ability to switch colors and everything without even using the software makes this a very good mouse for Mac users as well. So this is what the mouse initially looks like when you plug it in either to a Mac or a PC. And you can see it looks pretty good. However, you can of course change the colors as I already showed you. And as I said, this is all on Mac, so even if you don't have a PC and you're looking for a good mouse for Mac, or it doesn't have to be a gaming one, just a regular mouse, this is a good ergonomic one, and you can use all these buttons for things. So if we push any of these buttons, they are actually just their current number. So on a Mac computer, if you use this mouse and don't set up the software or anything, because you can't set up the software because it is a Mac, not a PC, these buttons are actually just their numbers. So the 10 is a 0, the 11 is a plus, and the 12 is a minus sign. However, all the other numbers are just their buttons, so this is pretty cool, especially considering normally on mice these buttons wouldn't really do anything because they're not set up to do anything because you can't use the software on a Mac. However, these buttons aren't even kind of useless because if you want to type in a 5 or something, you can just push this little 5 and a bunch of 5s will appear on the screen, which is really, really cool. The fire button selects everything, and then you can type in a button here and it will delete it. The DPI buttons on a Mac just of course adjust the mouse's DPI, and on Mac the clickable scroll wheel just shows the desktop. So even if you're not using this mouse on a PC, this mouse does a ton of different things. However, you can of course customize the functions of each individual button on a PC with the included software, but if you aren't able to customize that, then I just told you what each button does. So they're not totally useless. Even on a Mac, they might not be what you wanted to be, but I think the select all button is really, really useful. However, you might not, and so in which case you'll need to purchase a PC or use this mouse on a PC in order to change the function of these buttons. So this has been my review for the Mac portion of things. I told you what each of the individual buttons do. They are each their number value, and then there is a plus and minus for the 11 and 12. The fire button selects all, and the clicky scroll wheel shows the desktop on a Mac. So that is straight out of the box, not customizing anything because you can't because you're on a Mac. And yeah, for what it does, I think it is a very, very good mouse on a Mac at least. However, we will go ahead and look at the software on PC and show you that it is still a very good option for a Mac, but it's an even better option for a PC because you can customize the functions of each button.
Alright, so here is the PC side of things. We'll just go ahead and go through the software that is included with this mouse. So if you would like to use the included install disk, then you will of course just put the disk inside of your computer and then go ahead and run through this installation process. So this is what is currently on the disk. As you can see, it gives you all the 4 things, but I'll just show you how to go ahead and install the software without the disk so you can actually do it as well. So in order to do that, we will go to Sharkk's website, which is sharkk.com, and then we will wait for it to load. Alright, we'll go to products, and then we'll see our mouse right here. And we shall go down to the bottom here, and then it will say downloads, and it will say the mouse driver, and you can just do that. So you don't need the installation disk. So if you have a laptop that doesn't have an optical drive, then you can of course just go and download it from Sharkk's website, which is really, really nice. So anyway, we will go ahead and actually install this here. So we would double click on the setup button, I'm assuming. So we'll wait for this to open, and yeah, here we go. So it looks like this. It says welcome to the Sharkk Gaming Setup Wizard, and we will press next. I'll install it to a different drive because press change where you want to install it, and you can press next. It will show or create a desktop icon, and then just install it. So we'll go ahead and install, and then we can go ahead and run the software here. So there isn't a restart or anything. If you watched my most recent mouse review, then you saw that the software had to be restarted, and it was just a ton of problems. The last software was not very good, and Sharkk software is usually different. So this is the software we are greeted with. You can see in the bottom left hand corner that is the mouse. So of course the mouse will be on screen so you can see the effects and whatnot of when we do certain things. So here's the first thing that you see when you are opening up software. It's on profile 3. You can change through the profiles, and it changes the color on the mouse because each profile is set to a different color. However, you can of course change the profiles to all be the same color, but I don't recommend that because then you can't differentiate between the profiles. The wheel is really, really loose. Like, you can see how much it moves side and side. This is no button input or anything like that. It just moves from side to side, and it's really, really loose and cheap, which I really wasn't expecting on a Sharkk product, but it's just kind of a cheap scroll wheel here, which is something that I'm really not so thrilled about because the Sharkk products are normally pretty high quality, but this scroll wheel here moving around like this is not exactly high quality. Another thing that I've noticed, I already mentioned but the buttons, everything except these ones are really, really clicky. Like, you can see these ones are decent, I guess, but especially like the number 6, it's just like there's no feedback. You're just gonna have to mash it in order for it to work, which I don't know. Sharkk products normally have been pretty good, but this one is, I don't know, there are some things about it that aren't so great. So you can change the acceleration of the mouse here. You can change the pointer speed, the scroll speed, the double click speed. You can change the polling rate in between 125 and 1000 Hertz. You can of course customize all the buttons except for the one on the bottom, which is profile. So I think that it's very nice that the profile button is not a main button, but the DPI buttons are still main buttons, so you can kind of accidentally easily push the 5 and 6 buttons, but maybe you won't. I don't know. I think personally it'd be better if there was one on the side or something for the DPI, but that's up to you. You can customize it how you would like. You can see some of our options here. There are the basic ones of cut, copy, paste, and all that. With Sharkk mice, I've found that there are just a ton of different options you can do. There's advanced, there's close window, open explorer, show desktop, lock PC, switch window, media, there's your macros, so you can set up macro ones, and then there's a fire key and your DPI switch, your DPI up and down, and the profile switch, where you can just totally disable the button. So there's just a ton of different options for each button, and that's not just this button. There are so many buttons on this mouse that you can think of any combination that you would like to have your first 6 here that you can, of course, customize how you'd like, and then in order to change the buttons on the side, you just press the side button rather. And then you can customize all 12 of these buttons. They just kind of scroll down and you can see what each one does. So as I showed you earlier, each one is currently set to a number. So you just push that button and it types in a number, so it's like having a number pad or something on the mouse, which is really, really cool. However, I'm sure many people would like to customize them for different things in game and different movements and stuff, but I do warn you that it's kind of hard to differentiate between the buttons, so I wouldn't have really important things on like number 5 or 8 because they're just in the middle and pretty hard to get to. And then for the light, you can actually add a custom color here, so if you want to type in your own color code, you can of course do that, and you can just see that when you press a button, it should change automatically. So a lot of mice you have to press apply or something, but this one you just push the button and it changes instantly, so it's updating really fast. However, it looks like the back LED is the only LED that you can actually customize the color of. So up here will be the color of whatever profile you're on, I guess. So if you change profiles, then you can change the LED color. However, this will always stay the same color up here, and you can only customize this one for each profile. So you can't actually totally edit the profiles, but if you wanted to change the back LED on a profile or something, then you can do that. But unfortunately, you can't actually customize these LED colors. So I think that's pretty weird. However, that is of course the idea here. So you can change the color of the LEDs back here and then the LEDs on the number pads, but you can't actually change the scroll wheel. So if this is green on this profile, then you can do purple, then it won't look very good. I mean, green purple doesn't look terrible, but you can't actually make this purple on this profile, which is kind of annoying. So you can't totally customize LED colors, but you can still customize a ton of different things about this, so it's not too bad. And you can change the brightness from low to medium to high, and you can turn it off if you would like to do that. I think for this you actually have to press apply, but you can change the breathing speed to full if you want, so it'll just be constant, and then you press apply and it will have a little loading bar that shows you that it's applying, which is really nice. And then you can see that it's on high and it's just constant, so it's not breathing or anything, but you can make it go low, high, or medium for the breathing speed, and then you can just change the full brightness. If you want to turn the LED off for some reason, you can just do that, press apply, and it will just turn the LED off. I think it's really nice that when you press apply, there's a little scroll bar at the bottom that actually shows you progress of applying, but that's just a little thing. And yeah, overall the software is pretty good. It's definitely very responsive, and the amount of things you can customize is really good. You can change double click speed as well, I forgot to mention that. And there's just so many things you can customize here. I think you could just spend individual things. You can change what each DPI is, you can change each of the buttons, and you can of course change the LED colors to exact specific colors that you want. However, as I mentioned, you can't change the color of the scroll wheel because that's per profile, not anything more than that. So anyway, thank you guys very much for watching this review of this Sharkk gaming mouse. If you would like to purchase the product, and of course the link is always in the description, and you can just click on that and it'll bring you to the Amazon page, and then you can of course purchase it there. If you guys would like to see more videos similar to this one, then feel free to subscribe or check out my channel, and if you enjoyed this video in particular, then a like rating is always appreciated. This has been Jordan for Jolt Reviews. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next review.